Alright, I've got no boxes left worth opening that I want to open. So let's get back to Modern. This is, I wouldn't say it's my weakest Modern deck in my closed ecosystem of decks that are obsolete, designed to play against each other. So to recap, I like playing Modern. I like having some 1v1 decks in order to have a break from Commander. Maybe there's only one of the guy that I can get together with. So it's fun to have something competitive, strong, but not overpowered, and I don't have to run a treadmill of constant power creep, constant deluge of new cards in order to maintain concurrency with it. So what I did is I built, I think I'm up to nine Modern decks now. All but one of them has put up results. All but one of them, this one, has at least been in some competitive or professional event and put up results in the top 12. Troll Worship, I think, is the worst performing deck that I've got. Most of them I have modified since the original form. For example, Soul Sisters, have done a lot of modifications to that. Boros Burn, almost none. In fact, my Boros Burn pretty much looks like a Boros Burn deck that you'd see in a tournament today, because Burn is Burn. Doesn't change much. I also have vintage decks. I have 4 vintage decks powered by China. So if we want a higher power level, or if we want to try something a bit different than Modern, I can break those out. So this, what is this? Why am I showing you this junk card? Well, this junk card is key to the deck. So this is a mono black deck that I built. The way I built it is I just took a bunch of powerful black cards that I had laying around and bought about a dozen more cards and called it a deck. And the funny thing is, it's actually effective. My friend the Genie, he has Hardened Scales and that Yawgmoth Transposition combo deck, and Yawgmoth doesn't like this deck at all. There's some cards in here that really screw with this game plan. So anyway, start off with 3 copies of Ayara First of the Luck Line. And originally this deck did not have her in my first iteration. Instead of any copies of her, I had 1 Grey Merchant of Asphodel, which was supposed to be the top of the mana curve kill card. I had a 4th Unearth, and I had a, what was the other 3rd card I had? I think I had a 4th Dark Confidant. So anyway, when I saw her, I thought, oh shit, she does what the deck wants to do, and if I flip her off a Confidant, then I don't get hurt as bad as I do with the Grey Merchant of Asphodel, which has the other questionable, well, how many black pips am I going to see when I play him in order to have that final death-dealing life total swing? So I took him out, put her in, 3 black, which I'm still tuning the mana base. I don't have all the cards I want for the mana base because of the expense, but it's not too bad. You'll see when I show you. So whenever she or another black creature enters the battlefield under my control, I drain all my opponents for 1. I can sacrifice another black creature and draw a card. So if something else, another black dude I have is going to die, I can sacrifice that dude myself and get a card out of it. Otherwise, she's a 2/3 Elf Noble. And I just like this art. I like the original art too, but this was more colorful, more splashy, so I chose this one, and it's cheap. I mean, I think she cost 80 crowns, 60 crowns, something like that. Not that much. So there's 3 of her. I've got 3 Dark Confidants at this time. Of course, well, maybe some of you don't remember what he does. Beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library, put that in your hand. You lose life equal to its CMC. So if I show the Grey Merchant of Asphodel, I am getting hit for 5, which is heavy. So I wanted to reduce that. especially if I get 2, let alone all 3 confidants in play, which was more likely back when I had 4 of them in the deck. But I cut 1 for an Ayara versus Luckling. Otherwise, when he comes into play, if she sees him, I drain my opponents for 1. Ayara Voidwalker. Yawgmoth does not like this guy at all. And there's kind of a non-bow with another card in here. So, black, 3/2 shadow. I imagine a lot of you playing Modern now have seen this dude and know exactly what he does. So if a card would be put into opponent's graveyard from anywhere, anytime, instead you exile it with a void counter on it. You can sack him, choose an exile card with a void counter on it, and play it for free. Now, he sits next to her, kind of. So on the surface, they don't really work together, because she says, 1 black for a 1/1 flasher. Whenever she comes into play, or another rogue comes into play, each opponent mills 2 cards. As long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, she gets +2/+1 in death. She becomes a 3/2 death toucher. She matches his power toughness, but gets death touch, whereas he has shadow. The thing is, I'm sure you can see it. So if I play her, and then I play him, she says, hey, mill 2 cards. And he says, no, exile them with void counters. And she says, dude, I'm trying to grow the graveyard so I can get bigger and get death touch and be like you and kill things. And he says, I don't care. But, so on the surface, that's a non-bow, a non-combo. But in practice, it's pretty cool because he gets more cards to work with. More cards are exiled with void counters. And I've got 4 of her. So whenever she or one of her sisters comes into play, they trigger off each other, and if there's a Voidwalker in play, that just stacks up. So let's say I play one of her, I play a Voidwalker. So mill 2 cards, he says exile them. Yeah, when it enters the battlefield. And then if I play her sister, she says, okay, mill 4 cards, because she says mill 2 for me and mill 2 for my sister, and he says, wow, that's a lot of cards getting exiled, I like that. So it adds up pretty fast. So there's my Voidwalkers. I've got 2 of these, so these are, not really sure what I'm doing with these. I like them, I got them in foil. They're great. I wish they fucking drained my opponent. Okay, so he loses 2 life. Great, I'm advancing my position, but I want the life. I'm running Dark Confidants. I kind of need the life, you selfish bastard messenger. So this schmuck, when he comes into play, tapped, target opponent loses 2 life. Of course, then I can sacrifice him with Ayara. Sacrifice another black dude. He's a black dude. And draw a card. So I can play him, hit my opponent for 2. If she's ready to go, tap her, sack him, draw a card, and he comes back bigger. There's one possible line of play. So I need I need cheap creatures, and one of the conditions I had is I need cheap creatures, at least 1 suite of them with lifelink, because of the Confidants being my main draw engine. So this guy really should be a Vampire Nighthawk, but I realized that the 3, so Nighthawk is 2 black, 1 colorless for 2/3 flying Death Touch lifelink. That extra 1 mana was kind of a sticking point, was kind of a problem. So I got these guys. Gifted Aetherborn. He's just a Vampire Nighthawk that doesn't fly. Still a 2/3 Death Touch lifelink. But the important thing, he costs 1 less. So I've got 4 of those. What really kicked this deck off is when this guy was spoiled, a lot of people were talking about him, and I really liked the alternate art. I really liked it. I thought that was cool. I like the other art too, but this is just cooler. So I thought, I'll get some of those. I'll get a playset of those. because maybe it'll take off. Maybe I can sell it. I can make some money off of it. That didn't happen. He didn't go anywhere, as far as I know. He still hasn't gone anywhere. But he's cool. So it's kind of hard to read him with this light. Let's see if that helps. Nope, not at all. So anyway, he costs 3. He's a 3/3. Ward, discard a card, which works in this deck, and I'll show you why when I get to that card. So I can throw away a card and make him, I forget if it's hexproof or shroud. One of the two. I believe it's shroud, that he can't be targeted. I don't play this often enough to keep some of the stuff fresh in my mind. Okay, so whenever he comes to play or attacks, exile up to one target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature, I drain my opponent for 1. They lose 1, I gain 1. And he's the Davion side. So if it turns night and I flip him over, still, ward, discard a card. He gets 1/1 bigger from 3/3 to 4/4. But now he exiles 2 cards from graveyards. So it could be 1 from mine, it could be 1 from my opponent's. It could be whatever. And I just like it. I just think that art is cool. But anyway, so I've only got 3 of these. I thought about running 4, but 3 seems to be the right number. Graveyard Trespasser. If he's actually worth something, let me know in the comments. Not that I'm going to sell them, because I have them in a deck now. I just like knowing that cards I buy are a better investment than originally had panned out. Yes, sometimes I succumb to FOMO, and I buy things I shouldn't, and sometimes they sit for a long time. Sometimes they never go up. But I don't do that often. Usually, when I buy excess cards, it's because I like the art, so they sit in my art binder. And sometimes those later on, I'm building a commander deck and I flip, oh wow, look, I have this, it'd be perfect for the deck. So anyway, let's get on with it. So I already explained Thieves Guild Enforcer, Shadow Spear. I've got the Voidwalkers, so I've got ways of getting damage through. But I had another slot in the deck, and I had this. I ordered this for a deck that I didn't build, so I had it sitting around. There's probably 16 of my 16 commander decks that could use this. So, 1, equip creature gets +1/+1, has trample and lifelink, and then permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible. That's kind of interesting. Kind of a neat little side effect. And it's something that your opponents really don't expect, unless they have played against this card or played it themselves. They don't really lock on to that part of it. They don't really grasp it until it screws them. Talking from experience. Alright, some Lilianas. So we've got Liliana the Last Hope. She's a bit of a opposing creature kill. So I can give another target creature -2, -1. Doesn't kill a whole lot of things. It doesn't kill anything that Bowmasters couldn't kill. But I'm not buying Bowmasters because they're from Lord of the Rings and they're expensive. And the whole reason I have this obsolete, in this case, my own creation modern deck that is not tournament viable, is so I don't have to buy Bowmasters. So I can play with what I have and enjoy my cards. And then get a friend and he can choose another deck out of this box that maybe there'll be a bad matchup, but neither deck is significantly overpowered than the other. So we can play some 1v1. -2, put the top 2 cards of the library into your graveyard, and then return a creature card from graveyard. Yeah, she's my 4th Unearth. So the deck has 3 copies of Unearth. This is why I really don't care about the discarding a card for the Graveyard Trespasser for the ward, is because I have Unearth. This is a key part of the strategy, this card. And it's a junk card, It's worth nothing. But when it came out in M25, I remembered how much I loved it from Legacy, Urza's Legacy, so I bought a set of foils. And they were cheap. And I had the set sitting around until I built this black deck. So you discard a card to the Trespasser when you need to, and then on your turn, you can bring it back into play for 1 mana. 1 black, and every creature in here is 3 or less. All of them. So, without the Grey Merchant of Asphodel, Unearth hits all my creatures. Yeah, I could cycle it, but I'm not going to. Return target creature with CMC 3 or less from a graveyard to the battlefield with no other bullshit. No sacrifice into the turn, no exile when your mama tells you it's time for dinner, none of that crap. So I had 4 Unearths, and then I needed to take something out for an Ayara to have 3. So I realized that Liliana is really my 4th Unearth. Yes, she only puts the creature into my hand, but with the CMCs I'm dealing with, it's really not that big a deal. And then some emblem. What does her emblem do again? Beginning of your end step, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens on play. Rex is 2 plus the number of zombies you can. Okay. I'm probably never going to get the emblem. I'll probably kill something, I'll get 1 creature back, and then my opponent will kill her with some flyer that I can block. Some shit like that. I have 2 Liliana the Veil. I could have 3 or more, but 2 kind of seems to be the right number. She doesn't come up when I want her to all the time, but she comes up often enough that it works. So everybody throw away card, or neg 2, target player sacrifice creature, or neg 6, which I've never done. Usually I just make people throw away cards every turn, and then eventually make somebody sacrifice a creature. Separate all permanents target player controls in 2 piles. 0 can be a pile. That player sacks all permanents in the pile of their choice. So I've got 2 of her. And it's... my god. I remember when she was... I want to say pushing 70 euros. I definitely remember her being at about 50 euros. Now she's at 15. You can get foils from the latest set, Dominaria Mastered, I think it was. Foils from that set for about 16, 20 euro. It's amazing how she, for whatever reason, I don't fully understand why she's not relevant anymore, but I understand the overprinting, the consequences of that. So, Liliana the Veil. Alright, so I need to control things. So I've got 4 Fatal Pushes, 1 black, destroy a creature if its CMC is 2 or less, or if I lost a permanent, I can destroy something 4 or less. And then Inquisition of Kozilek. This could easily be Thoughtseize, but again I'm running Confidence. So Kozilek, Inquisition of Kozilek, yeah, it only hits things with CMC 3 or less, but it really doesn't matter. Most of the time against the other modern decks, it's rare that, so Troll Worship has worships, that's 4. Inquisition couldn't take that. General Domain has Sign of Draco, which is 12. Inquisition definitely couldn't take that. It can't take a Bloodbraid Elf. What else is there that's really relevant that it can't take? Against Absent Evolution, it can't take a Siege Gang Rhino. It can't take an Archangel of Thune. It can't take a... what else? So there's some things that Inquisition can't take, but usually this deck is supposed to be so fast that doesn't really matter. It doesn't always work, but... oh, it can't take a Birthing Pod. I don't have Birthing Pod. That's banned. The hell was I thinking of? Cataclysmic Gearhulk. Inquisition can't take a Cataclysmic Gearhulk, but my opponent wants to play that. That's fine. I can recover faster than he can typically. Mana base is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 swamps. 16 beautiful full art swamps. 2 ghost quarters. Yeah, I'm still running ghost quarter. I suppose these should be tectonic edge, but I have the ghost quarters sitting around, so I want to employ them. And against hardened scales are pretty good because they can take out that, what is that stupid ink moth nexus? They can take that bastard out. I'm gonna poison you. I'll fucking send that guy to the ghost quarter. Poison that. And then I also have 2 witches cottage. So they're swamps. And they're a roundabout unearth. They're kind of like Liliana of the Last Hopes +2. So if it comes into play untapped because I have 3 or more other swamps, I may put target creature from a graveyard on top of my library. So I choke out my next draw, but I get a creature. Then I have Cabal Coffers and Urborg. I just had these sitting around. I didn't have a commander deck to shove them into at the moment. So I put them in here. And they kind of work, but I need more. There's this modern deck, big mana black deck, that runs 4 Cabal Coffers and 4 Urborgs. And it looks nasty. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I would really want to spend the money on this deck to get 4 Urborgs and 4 Coffers. Probably would be nice, but I have so many other decks I'm trying to build, I don't know. And as one-offs, they're not entirely satisfactory, but it's what I have. So I'm not sure about those. I'm not sure if I should just take those out, suck it up, put them in a commander deck, or if I should chase the other ones. Still thinking about that. Alright, sideboard. Sideboard is disjointed because it's against this modern closed ecosystem. Friction Revoker comes into play. Name a land card. Activate ability source of the chosen name again. Ether Vial, most likely. Ashak Dreamrender. It shuts off fetch lands. That's why he's in here. Shuts off most of the modern decks have used fetch lands, and this guy says, alright, battery died. I saw it blinking, but I thought I could blitz through this before it shut off. No. So let's pick up at the sideboard. So I'd already explained Friction Revoker. I was going off about Ashek Dreamrender, how he shuts off all the fetch lands, and half the decks that I've got with fetch lands, he just says, nope. This top 4 cards, library in the graveyard, exile each. That's not really relevant against most of my modern decks. Fulminator Mage. So I've got 3 Ds, and against General Domain, it'd be pretty rough because he runs nothing but non-basic lands. Against some of my other decks, it could be, wouldn't be crippling, but wouldn't be the brutal beatdown against General Domain. I've got a 3rd Liliana of the Veil, just in case I want a 3rd one in the deck. I'm not sure when I would want to bring it in. Maybe against Troll Worship, because I don't have any way of interacting with the creatures, because except for the Noble Hierarchs, they're all hexproof, all of them. Erebos, God of the Dead. I got this for the art. I had it sitting around doing nothing, so I thought, let's put them to it. Let's just shove in the sideboard. I call it a sideboard card. Why not? So 4, 5, 7, indestructible. Not a creature if my devotion to black is less than 5. Opponents can't gain life. So this would come in against Soul Sisters. Soul Sisters is all about gaining life, and this guy says, yeah, you're not getting shit. Which, if he can keep them below 25, then that's good. Actually below 27. 26 or below, because 27 or above is when the Righteous Valkyries start triggering and start buffing everything +2/+2. So if he can stop that and arrest it, that's nice. And yeah, I can pay 2 life to draw a card, but I've already got the Confidence beating on me, so probably not going to do that. Collective Brutality. Bought these. I was building 8-rack. Then I realized I don't think I really want to play this. It looks effective. It looks like kind of like fun, but then I just lost interest for some reason. So I sold or traded most of the 8-rack cards. In fact, the deck was either 80 or 90% complete. Traded it to a friend of mine that was thinking of getting into Modern and liked the idea that all he had to do was get another maybe dozen cards and he would be done with the deck and the sideboard. But I kept these because I got them in foil. So what do they do again? 2 mana sorcery. Escalate, discard a card, so choose one or more. Target opponent reveals his hand. Choose an instant or sorcery and make them discard it. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Target opponent loses 2 life. Okay. So these really have no specific purpose in the sideboard other than to flesh out the sideboard so it's 15 cards. Maybe they'll be useful. I don't know. Death Mark. So a lot of my decks have green and white. I can bring these in instead of the Fiddle Push and just 1 black, of course, sorcery speed, destroy a green or a white creature. So it takes out Siege Rhino very nicely. Die, Siege Rhino, die! A couple duress against burn. Actually, what would I do with these? Maybe against burn, I would take out, I don't know, a couple of creatures. I would have to think about it, but probably this would be against burn because that's the deck that plays the most non-creature, non-land cards. Against Absent Evolution, it would get the Eldritch Evolution. You could also pull probably about nearly half my decks, because they have white, they have Path to Exile. So this would pull the Path to Exile too, which Voidwalker wouldn't like if you got hit with that. So anyway, I've got these for the sideboard. And then the last sideboard card, I've got Erebos' Intervention. And this is really against the Genie's Yawgmoth deck. I realized I needed something else that could hit the graveyard. So, Graveyard Trespasser, of course. When he attacks or enters the battlefield, I can exile a card from a graveyard. This guy, I can exile a shitload of cards from a graveyard, depending on how much mana I have. So, instant speed. Choose one. Target creature gets neg-X until end of turn, and I gain X life. Or exile up to twice X target cards from graveyards. Multiple. So, in Commander, you can take 2 from that guy, 3 from that guy, 4 from that guy over there that doesn't know what the hell is going on because he's playing with his phone all night, and exile crap from the graveyard you don't want to see again. So that's the sideboard. This is my... I call the deck Ayara Voidwalker because those are kind of the key cards in the deck. I should think of a better name, but I don't know. I like the deck. I like the deck a lot. It's fun to play, and I'm happy at how effective it is for being just a cobbled together stack of good stuff. So let me get this posted, splice videos together, and see what you lads think.